Hello and welcome to the Third Win channel. Today we're going to be looking at the characters of iCarly and we're going to be figuring out who is the funniest in the form of a bracket. But before I start the video, I just want to mention that we make a lot of Nickelodeon content on this channel and you can look forward to a new Nickelodeon episode of Angels and Devils, which is a series on this channel, and the show will be Zoe 101. But without further ado, let's get into the video. First up, we got Guppy and Chuck. So I think they're both funny in their own way. You know, with Guppy saying "Happy Birthday" and Chuck just violating Spencer. But which one do I find funnier? As a child, definitely Guppy. Now, it's a really close one for me. But something about the "Happy Birthday" always gets me, and it's a close victory for Guppy. Moving on, we got a true legend in the game in Gibby, and then we have Lubert. Lubert, although he can have some funny moments, most of the time for me is he's more on the kind of, I don't know. I don't really like he's not a likable character for me. He might be funny, but it's more like laughing at him than with him. But with Gibby, he's just a legend, and there's not really. I'll explain maybe later, but there's no need to explain here. Moving on, we got Mrs. Benson and Sam. Although Miss Benson can be funny with her ointments and her crazy, over caring attitude towards Freddy, but I don't know. I think Sam is just is a little funnier, just her antics, especially in the earlier seasons when she kind of terrorizes Gibby. I know it's not clean humor, but I find it a little funny. But as the show goes on, she gets a little stale. But Sam does win this round for me. Next we got Neville and Spencer, and although Neville isn't like funny himself, like some of the things he does, I think are quite funny. Like when he says, "You will rue this," I find that hilarious. But there is no competition here. Spencer is undoubtedly one of the funniest characters in the show for me, and I just love how goofy yet mature he can be at the same time. I love his sculptures and how he sets things randomly on fire as if he was some Greek god. And just he's the full package. He's hilarious. Moving on, we have we'll do one side of the bracket then the other. We got the brothers, and unfortunately for Guppy, it's no competition. His older, more mature, more experienced brother knows the game. He's just funnier. Okay, Gibby wins here. And then we got Sam versus Spencer, and there's no doubt in my mind Spencer is funnier. I just prefer the kind of humor, the wacky kind of goofy humor that Spencer has over Sam's more kind of punch someone, haha kind of humor. So Spencer takes it for me. And this sets up a semifinal, which is, in my opinion, the final. So this is the real decision. This is the decision I knew I would have to make at some point in this video. Um, who do I think is funnier of Gibby and Spencer? I think that this is really controversial. I think some people find Gibby's kind of more um, simple humor funnier, and then they're like kind of more maybe slightly more sophisticated people would find Spencer's humor funnier. But which one I personally find funnier? Who has more moments where I'm just laughing on the floor? It has to be Gibby, and I know it's goofier, and he's the butt of the joke, and sometimes you laugh at the wrong things with Gibby, but uh, I also love how he changes throughout the show. At the end of the show, he becomes this kind of alpha type, but still not very smart. So he asks these crazy questions sometimes, and when he comes into a room and says Gibby, he still does that throughout the show. And I don't know. For me, it's Gibby over Spencer, but the margins are tight. I think they're both super funny. And then we go over to the other side of the bracket, and I don't think there's any question. Nora is not a funny character. She's crazy and not in a funny way. Whereas Tebow has his very unique putting things on a stick idea, literally anything, even taco shells, which crumble. So yeah, Tebow, I like that, and I think Tebow's quite funny. And in the later seasons, we get way more of him since he moves in with the Bensons, and you get to see his home life, which can be quite amusing as well. Moving on, we have Miss Briggs or Freddy. Now in my head, I'm trying to think if I can think of any like funny moments with Freddy, and he's not really a funny guy. He'll pull off some tech joke now and then. Whereas Miss Briggs, there are some funny moments, but she's also not funny. All I can remember like off from the top of my head right now for Freddy is when he did the whole werewolf thing, and he tried to use that outside of the movie scenes, and that cracked me up a little bit. He didn't really do it in joke form, but you can kind of laugh at him. Overall, I don't think I can say Miss Briggs is funnier than Freddy, and yeah, Freddy takes a round here. Then we got our last two characters featured in this video, which is Principal Franklin and Carly. And I think they're both quite funny, but I think Carly is just a little funnier, probably just because we just see a lot more of Carly. And don't forget that she comes up with probably 80% of the jokes in iCarly, their web series. So that needs to be taken into account. And yeah, I think Carly's funnier. Although Principal Franklin can crack some good dad jokes. Next, we got T-Bow and Freddy, and T-Bow's got his one or two things that make him funny, and I think that honestly that's enough to overtake Freddy, as Freddy isn't really the kind of character that makes the jokes, makes you laugh. It's more like things being done towards him. Or so I'll let T-Bow take the cake here. Although I'd say that they're both not super funny. And then we have our second semifinal between Carly and T-Bow, and I just think Carly, it's kind of this more passing humor. It's kind of more like a conversational humor she has, but I think she can be quite funny with her kind of when she talks back to Spencer, or there's just these small comments she adds in there. I can't like quote them directly, but I think Carly's funnier than T-Bow. And then we got our final. Like I mentioned before, if I were to rank these, it would be Gibby, Spencer, and then Carly. So that kind of spoils the final here. But I do think Gibby is quite a bit funnier than Carly. And yes, Gibby does win here. Gibby does win here. And there's just so many moments. I wrote down on my phone like every episode that made me crack up with Gibby, and at some point I just lost count. But I'll tell you my absolute favorite moment with Gibby, the one which just made me laugh uncontrollably, was when Gibby they had to delay iCarly because Spencer was down on a date and he was kind of running him up and down the stairs, and for the moments where Spencer couldn't be on iCarly on stage, Gibby was the butt of the joke for several times, but in one bit, he was given a bowl of mayonnaise and a electric toothbrush, or I don't know if it was electric, but he was basically given words. Like he got like 20 words, and he was brushing his teeth with mayonnaise, like crying, asking if he's like, "Can I stop?" And he just quoting these words like vicious, torture, and he's just crying. I don't know why it cracked me up so much, but that was one of the funniest moments I've seen ever on TV. And yeah, Gibby wins. Okay, are we gonna load? Well, there we go. And that is our bracket fight here. The funniest character in iCarly is Gibby. If you are interested, if you like this kind of video, I put a lot of effort into a top 10 funniest characters from Nickelodeon shows, where I take all the shows from Nickelodeon, at least the ones I've watched, and I put them into a well kind of edited and scripted video. So if you guys are interested in a more in-depth video like this that includes several shows, the link will be in the description, and I recommend it. But thank you for watching. If you want to see more Nickelodeon content, there's plenty of it on our channel, and we're going to make lots more. So subscribe for that. And I just want to wish you guys a good day or a good night, and thank you for watching.